Elon Musk is currently the single richest human being anywhere on the planet. Earlier this year, for one brief moment, he even became the first trillionaire in recorded history. Yet for the last several years, he has told the entire world that he does not own a house. He says that he sold off his mansions, and that he now lives in a tiny prefab home worth about $50,000. So why do court records, property deeds, and major newspapers keep pointing to a very different life down in Texas? This is the strange story of a man who claims to own almost nothing, and the reported $35 million compound that he insists does not exist. It all began with a single message that he posted in May of 2020. On that day, Musk wrote that he was selling almost all of his physical possessions and that he would own no house. In the same run of posts, he claimed that Tesla stock was too high, a comment that erased billions of dollars from his own company within hours. When people asked him why he was walking away from a fortune of homes, his answer was a single word, which was freedom. He later explained on Joe Rogan's podcast that expensive possessions had become, in his words, an attack vector for his critics. For a while, it genuinely looked like he meant every single word of it. Between the middle of 2020 and the end of 2021, Musk sold all 7 of his homes in California, according to the Wall Street Journal. Those sales brought in roughly $128 million in total. His most impressive property sat on Chelan Road, high in the hills of Bel-Air in Los Angeles. He had bought that mansion for $17 million. And it stretched across more than 20,000 square feet. It came with 7 bedrooms, 13 bathrooms, a tennis court, and a wine cellar built for 1,000 bottles. He sold it in 2020 for $29 million to a buyer tied to a Chinese technology billionaire. He also gave up a 16,000 square foot estate near San Francisco, first built back in 1912, which he had used mainly as an events house. There was, however, one home that he could not quite bring himself to let go of. Years earlier, Musk had bought a modest ranch-style house in Bel-Air that once belonged to the beloved actor Gene Wilder. He attached a very personal condition when he sold it, saying that the house could not be torn down or lose any of its soul. He sold it in 2020 for $7 million to Gene Wilder's own nephew. What most people never heard is that Musk personally lent the buyers most of the money for the purchase. When they later ran into financial trouble, a company connected to Musk filed a notice of default, and by early 2025, he had quietly bought the house back. Reporters now believe that it is the only home he still owns anywhere on the West Coast. If he really sold nearly everything, the obvious question was simply where he had chosen to live. His answer, which he gave in 2021, quickly became one of the most famous things he has ever said. He claimed that his main home was a $50,000 house in Boca Chica, Texas, which he rented from his own company, SpaceX. Fans soon identified it as a Boxabl Casita, a small prefabricated home that sells for $49,500. The unit measures only 375 square feet, folds nearly flat for shipping, and is light enough to be towed behind a car. His former partner, the musician Grimes, once said that he lives at times below the poverty line, and she joked about him eating peanut butter for 8 days straight. The picture of a billionaire living inside a tiny box was irresistible, and it spread absolutely everywhere. There is really only one serious problem with that whole story. Musk himself later admitted that he does not actually live in the box, and that he only uses it as a guest house. When you dig into the official court records, a very different picture slowly begins to appear. In legal filings tied to a custody dispute, Musk stated that in February of 2022 he bought a home where he genuinely lives. That house sits in Westlake Hills, a wealthy community right on the edge of Austin, Texas. It measures around 6,900 square feet, holds 6 bedrooms, and rests on nearly 2 acres of land. The property became well known around the neighborhood for one very surprising reason. Musk built a chain-link fence that stood 16 feet tall, which was 10 feet higher than local rules allowed, and he did it without any permits. The head of the local homeowners association told reporters, quite bluntly, that he now calls the place Fort Knox. In July of 2025, the city council narrowly voted 3-2 to let part of that fence remain standing. For years, though, Musk kept publicly insisting that he barely had a place of his own at all. In one interview, he said that he did not even own a home, and that he was simply staying at his friends' houses. The trouble with that claim is that those friends happened to own some genuinely spectacular homes. The Wall Street Journal reported that Musk spent close to a full year living in an 8,000 square foot waterfront mansion near Austin. That home belonged to his longtime friend and fellow investor, Ken Howery. Musk firmly denied the report and said that he did not live there, while Howery said that Musk had only stayed as an occasional guest. More recent reporting claims that Musk sometimes uses 2 penthouses inside a luxury hotel tower in downtown Austin, each with 4 bedrooms and a private pool terrace. And this finally brings the story to the secret that the entire mystery is built around. In October of 2024, the New York Times reported that Musk had quietly assembled a private family compound in Austin. According to that reporting, he built it for several of his children and for 2 of the women who are their mothers. One of the homes was described as a 14,400 square foot mansion styled like a Tuscan villa. Directly behind it, there reportedly sits a 6-bedroom mansion that Musk helped to purchase, and the 2 together cost around $35 million. The details only grew stranger the deeper that reporters looked into the deal. Sellers in the area reportedly signed non-disclosure agreements, and Musk reportedly paid as much as 70% above market value to keep everything quiet. A senior Neuralink executive named Siobhan Zelis, who shares several children with Musk, reportedly lives there on the property. When the story finally became public, Musk denied the entire thing outright. He wrote that he does not own and is not building any compound in Austin, and that no grand family home has been built or is ever expected to be built. So the newspaper describes a hidden $35 million estate, while the man at the very center of it swears that it does not exist. The rumors about his homes have not slowed down at all since then either. Earlier this year, real estate brokers in Miami claimed that a mystery billionaire, possibly Musk, had toured a waterfront mansion priced at $300 million. There is no solid proof that the buyer was actually him, and his representatives declined to comment on the claim. That story is best treated as unconfirmed gossip, at least until something far more concrete ever appears. When you step back and look at the full picture, the contradiction becomes very hard to ignore. The wealthiest person on Earth, who was briefly a trillionaire this very year, keeps insisting that he owns no house at all, yet the trail leads to a guarded mansion behind a giant fence, to borrowed homes owned by billionaire friends, and to a reported $35 million compound that he flatly denies. Maybe he truly has stripped his life down to a single tiny home in the Texas desert. Maybe the real story is hidden behind private companies and stacks of signed non-disclosure agreements. Here is the one question that is genuinely worth thinking about. Do you actually believe that Elon Musk lives simply? Or is that $50,000 box the greatest piece of misdirection in Texas? Share your honest answer with everyone down in the comments below. If you love uncovering how the richest people in the world truly live, then subscribe right now, because the next story just might surprise you even more.